Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I recently reorganized all of my bookshelves, and while I was in the process of reorganizing them, I realized that I have quite a bit of books that I'm never going to read again, and I honestly hated them or DNF'd them. I asked myself, why the heck am I holding on to these books if I know I'm never even going to open them up again? So I decided to film this book unhaul, and I'm hoping to give these books away, either donate them or sell them, but I just want them off my bookshelves because, like I said, I am never going to read them again or even look at them. So why have them collecting dust? First one being Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I know this is a favorite here on YouTube and on Book Talk, but I just did not like this book. I'm not a huge fan of the childhood friends to lovers, and I didn't know that at the time of reading this book. I think after I read this one, I was like, okay, maybe it's not the story itself, it's just that I'm not a fan of the trope. I can understand why people love this book, but if you're not a fan of the childhood friends to lovers trope like I'm not, then you probably will end up hating this book as much as I did. It makes me sad to get rid of this book though, because the cover is so freaking pretty. But do I really want to hold on to a book simply because the cover is pretty? Probably not. And I keep having to tell myself that if I get rid of books, I can buy more that hopefully I will like. I'm going to get rid of this one, even though it pains me because look at that cover, you guys. Another book where I fell in love with the cover but hated the story is Love in the Time of Serial Killers. I actually bought this book this year and read it a couple months ago, and I just did not really enjoy it. I thought I was going to enjoy it, and it just felt incredibly dull. I didn't like the characters. I didn't feel the chemistry between them. Didn't care about their love story. And contrary to the book title, this book has very little to do with serial killers. So I just did not like this one at all. And although I like the book cover, it has to go, unfortunately. A book that I read last year and I just did not enjoy was My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. I did not like this book at all, mainly because I thought it was going to be more of a murder mystery book, and it turned out to just be a book heavy on the sexual tension between the two characters, and I just didn't care for that. I'm beginning to realize that Tessa Bailey books are just not for me, because a lot of her books are like that. They're super spicy, or the sexual tension is mentioned like on every page, and I just don't care for a story like that. This one was a disappointment, and I'm not sad to see it go, honestly. Another book that I'm obsessed with the cover, but I hated the story, is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. Look at that cover, so pretty. I think I picked up this book before it became popular on Book Talk, and I picked it up simply because I fell in love with the cover. That's why they say don't judge a book by its cover, because you just never know. This book was just another very boring, dull book for me. I just didn't really like the story. I think I gave it 3 stars, but looking back, I could probably have given it a 2 out of 5 stars. I have not thought once about this book since I finished it. It looks brand new. Like, this book is in great condition. I think I read it in one sitting for a reading blog, and I didn't enjoy it, so it's going away. You guys probably are tired of hearing me talk about this next book, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, and just know that this is probably the only book that I've read in my entire life that I can say that I absolutely hated it, and if I could give it 0 stars, I would, and that is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I know so many of you guys are probably shocked or gasping because this book is very popular here on YouTube, and a lot of people love it. A lot of booktubers love it, and I feel like I'm in the minority. I hated this book so much. I think I DNF'd it with only 100 pages left, or maybe less than 100 pages, because this book is pretty short. I skipped to the end, and then when I read the ending, I was like, I'm so glad I didn't spend a minute further reading this book, because it just made me physically angry. I hate this book so much. I am not going to shed a tear about getting rid of this one. The next book that I really had high expectations for, but it fell flat, was 7 Dirty Secrets by Natalie D. Richards. I actually bought this book before I even knew what Book Talk was about, and it was when I was rediscovering my love for reading, and I thought that it was going to be super exciting. The synopsis sounded so fun. It's a thriller, but it's honestly so incredibly boring and so predictable that I did not enjoy this book at all. I haven't thought about it since finishing it, and yeah, getting rid of it. So I have another thriller here that was a huge disappointment for me. It's actually one of the first thrillers that I read when I was just getting back into into reading, and that is Look What You Made Me Do by Elaine Murphy. This is another like serial killer book that I thought was going to be a lot of fun. I thought it was going to have me at the edge of my seat, but it honestly fell so flat. I feel like I keep saying that for all these books, but that's the reason why I'm getting rid of them, because I didn't like them and they did in fact fall flat for me. Yeah, and I think I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. The cover alone grabbed my attention. Like, the cover is interesting, but the actual writing was just not it. I have another thriller here. How many thrillers do I have in this pile? I think this is the last thriller that I have. The next book is The Maid by Nita Rose. This is another thriller, but honestly, I think it should be labeled as a mystery because it's definitely very low and it reads more of a mystery novel than a thriller. And I was expecting it to be a lot more fast-paced than it was. I think if I had gone into it knowing that it was going to be slow, knowing that it was a mystery, I would have probably tried to enjoy it a little bit more. But this book was just very hard for me to get through. Even though it's very short, it just felt very repetitive, really wasn't thrilling at all. The twists were pretty predictable, so didn't enjoy this one, and I'm not sad to see this one go at all. And then the next book that I'm getting rid of is You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hoggle. This one I didn't really enjoy for the first 200 pages, and then I actually did enjoy it towards the end. It got more tolerable for me, but I still haven't thought about this book since I finished it, so there's no point in me keeping it. I have another Tessa Bailey book in this pile, and this is another recent read for me, and that is Secretly Yours. Like I mentioned when I talked about My Killer Vacation, this one just fell flat for me. I don't even remember if it was spicy. I think it was spicy. I don't know. I didn't really vibe with the two main characters. I found that the female main character, she was really annoying and immature for her age, and I just didn't like that everyone else in her life was like making excuses for her. I don't know, I just found her incredibly annoying, so of course I found the story annoying as well, and I didn't vibe with her or her love interest, so I'm definitely getting rid of this one, and I think this will be my last Tessa Bailey book for a while. I think I finally accepted that her books are just not for me. The next book is a book that I DNF'd, and this is probably one of the few books that I've DNF'd ever in my life. I hate DNFing books. I think it's such a waste of money when I DNF a book. I don't know why I think like that, but I do. And the book is The X Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I keep telling myself that I'm going to pick up this book and read it, but I never do. I hated this book immensely, hence why I DNF'd it. I felt like the author was trying to make this book super relatable to millennials. I just didn't like it. And I didn't like the main character. I forget her name was Shay. Didn't like the other character, Dominic. And I think this is dual POV, and normally I like dual POV. Is this dual POV? I don't even know. I don't remember. I have a little post-it note. I made it to chapter 11, page 108, and that's when I gave up. When I mentioned a while ago that I DNF'd this book, so many of you guys commented that you also DNF'd it, so I don't feel alone in not liking this book, which is nice. The next book is a book that I probably should have DNF'd because I knew from the very beginning that I was just not going to like it, and that book is Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. I think I gave this book a 2 stars, or maybe I gave it 1 star. I don't remember. All I remember is that I disliked this book immensely from the very beginning, and I just kept reading it to see if it got better. It never did, so this one is also gonna go bye-bye. Okay, I have a small pile left of books to go through. The next 2 books are pretty much the same book, but from different POVs, and that is Beautiful Disaster and Walking Disaster by Jamie McGuire. This is the first book in the series. This is the second book. This is told from the female's main character point of view. Walking Disaster is told by the male's point of view. I enjoyed this book as I was reading it because the writing was super addicting. It was actually very entertaining, but the 2 main characters are hella toxic for one another. And I got to page 83 in Walking Disaster. I still have a little bookmark from when I was reading it, and I DNF'd the rest of the book because it was exactly the same as this one. Again, just told from the male character's point of view. Don't really recommend this book unless you want to read about 2 toxic people getting together, then go ahead. The next 3 books that I'm getting rid of are books that I absolutely love the cover, and the synopsis sounded very intriguing. 2 of them are actually a Greek retelling, but they're also very spicy. Like, I didn't know that going into these 3 books, so I thought it was going to be more of a a love story, but it was more spice than actual plot. And the books are A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. Look at that cover, absolutely gorgeous. Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I felt like this book was trying so hard to be 50 Shades of Grey, and it just wasn't. Both of these are Greek retellings. I think both of them follow Persephone and Hades, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, both of them follow Persephone's and Hades' love story. They're both part of a series, different series of course, but I just didn't care to continue either, so gonna get rid of those. And then the next one is Priest, and this one was an interesting book. It was about a priest who broke his commitments because he ended up falling in love and having a relationship with a woman when he wasn't supposed to. And I just didn't really enjoy it, mainly because it was a little too spicy for my liking. I was expecting more of a storyline and it really wasn't there. So even though the cover, again, absolutely beautiful, like I know how to pick a book with a good cover. Okay, I have two Christmas books here. The first one being The Santa Suit by Mary Kay Andrews. This one was very boring, didn't really enjoy it. And the next one is One Day in December by Josie Silver. I wanted to DNF One Day in December so bad when I first read it last December, but I powered through, and I honestly can't tell you what this book is about because I think my brain blocked the story out. Santa Suit was okay. It was a pretty short novel. It's more like a short story. It's barely 200 pages, but I know I'm never going to read this one again, so why keep it? Next book, it was my first Penelope Douglas book, and that is Bully. The male character in this book is a bully to the female main character, hence the title, but he goes very far in bullying her to the point where she literally leaves their school for an entire year. I just couldn't see past that, and I couldn't see past him being so mean to her to actually get invested in their love story. And I think this is the first book in a series, and I just don't care to read the rest of the series, so getting rid of that one. The next book that I'm gonna get rid of is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This is a book that I read before I realized that I hated the friends to lovers trope. Bear that in mind if you are interested in reading this one, because I think if you do enjoy that trope, then you'll probably enjoy this book. It is a closed door romance, so if you're looking for a closed door romance, definitely pick this one up. I felt like it was so obvious that the two main characters have feelings for one another. For that reason, the things that happened in this book felt so incredibly pointless. The next book that I'm gonna get rid of is Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. This one I did not enjoy at all. I think I read this after I read The Hating Game, and I actually enjoyed The Hating Game. So when I read this one, it felt very dull. The main character, Ruth, I think was her name, Ruthie, was written in a way where she's supposed to be incredibly dull and boring. So when the male main character enters her life, it's like she begins to live for the first time in years. Because the main character was incredibly dull, I found the story to be incredibly dull, so I did not enjoy this one, unfortunately, so I'm gonna get rid of it. These are all the books that I'm going to be getting rid of. Like I said, I'll probably end up donating them if I can find a place to donate them, maybe give them to a library or a thrift store or sell them online, I don't know, but I'm definitely not going to be holding on to these much longer. Let me know in the comments below if you have done a book unhaul recently. Have you gotten rid of any books? If you have, let me know which books you've gotten rid of. Let me know if you are planning to do one. I think it's good to do one maybe a couple times a year to make space for new books. Also, just because you didn't enjoy a book doesn't mean that someone else might not enjoy it, so I feel like giving them away is a good deed in a way, because you're extending the life of the book, and maybe someone will find a 5-star read from the pile of books that you give away. Even though it's quite hard for me to get rid of books, this is the first time I've actually done this, but I think I'm going to do this at least 2 more times this year, just to keep my bookshelves fresh and to make sure that I'm just holding on to books that I actually enjoy and that I could see myself rereading in the future. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Really hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you a part of my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.